For PHLY, I'm Zach Berman here at Lincoln Financial Field. It's dark behind me, the lights are off, it's silent, and that's about the sound you heard when the Falcons took a 22-21 lead in Monday's game. A devastating, heartbreaking loss for the Eagles. One of the more improbable losses in recent history, one of the worst losses, frankly, in recent history. They've lost to inferior teams, they've played worse, but to have the win probability that they had late in the game and for this to be a loss, it's just inexcusable. There's a number of places to look. Let's start with some of these late game decisions from Nick Sirianni. The Eagles were down in Falcons territory in the red zone. The Falcons had no timeouts. The Eagles had a 3-point lead. It was third and 3, and they decided to pass the ball to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley dropped it. It was a bad miscue by Saquon Barkley. He needs to make the catch. There's some criticism of Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore, I should say too, for passing the ball there, not running the ball. I didn't have an objection so much with the play call. The Falcons had crowded the middle of the line. Saquon Barkley was wide open. It was a high percentage pass. He needs to make that catch. He didn't make that catch. So then the Eagles had a fourth down there. Nick Sirianni elected to kick the field goal there, and that's really what I objected to. 4th and 3, you need 3 yards to effectively win the game. And instead, by kicking the field goal, even though you go up 6, you're giving the ball back to the Falcons. I would do everything I can there not to give the ball back to the Falcons. Try to win the game. Even if you don't convert, you're still trusting your defense. But I would try to keep the defense from even going on the field. I would try to win the game right there in that situation. Nick Sirianni, his thought process was kick the field goal, go up 6 points, and the Falcons don't have a timeout, make them go the length of the field. Well, you know what? The Falcons went the length of the field. And that's where you look at this Eagles defense. And the Eagles defense did not touch Kirk Cousins on that 70-yard drive. Kirk Cousins, it really continued problems with the pass rush that we saw throughout the game. And Bryce Huff was nowhere to be found. The Eagles only had 1 sack. They had 2 quarterback hits. In that situation where you know the Falcons are passing the ball, you need to pressure Kirk Cousins, and their pass rush was not good enough. And then on that, the coverage was not strong either. I talked to players after the game. They said they were kind of soft in their zone. Darius Slay took responsibility for the decisive touchdown. He said that was on him. He messed up. And then you go into the final drive there where the Eagles, they were down 1 point. They still had time to get into field goal range. Jalen Hurts throws an interception on the second play. They need to be better than that too. It was an aggressive play call there. They needed about 15-20 yards at that point. They still had 1 timeout to try to get into relative field goal range for Jake Elliott throwing the interception. So across the board, there's a lot of blame to go around. I really start with the decision by Nick Sirianni to kick the field goal there. I did not like it. Others can disagree, but the bottom line is the Eagles are 1-1 now. They should be 2-0, and they have a short week going into next Sunday's game against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are scorching. There's a lot of issues that the Eagles need to address. Pass rush is high up there. We'll get into all of those issues on the PHLY Eagles Show and on allphly.com.
We all silly like the mayor.